Hello, welcome to the Craft House Magic YouTube channel. My name's Ellie and today I'm going to vlog how I'm going to fix this top. So normally I do a podcast every other week, but this week I'm going to do a little vlog because I haven't got an awful lot to show you and I'll catch you up on that next week. But right, we need to fix this top. This is the Summer Sorrel by Wool and Pine, and my mother-in-law knitted it for me in some yarns that I had in my stash, and I decided I got her to knit it without swatching, which was bad idea really, and it's got quite a lot of positive ease and it's a little bit baggy compared to what I normally go for in terms of a top, which would not be a problem in the body, but I feel like the arms are quite gapy and the neckline's a bit loose as well. So I'm going to try and address those three issues and change it so that I can actually wear it and make use of it. So first thing that I need to do is make this neckline not quite as gaping, so it's stretched open after I've worn it a couple of times, and I feel like that this is a bit too low. So what I'm going to do is use a crochet chain on the inside there just to gather that in slightly. It doesn't need to be stretchy because it's big enough to go over my head if I even sort of gather it in a little bit. So I'm going to try that first. Once I've done that, I'm going to work out how much I need to take in on the arms and the body. I don't want it too tight, just so that it just doesn't feel like it's drowning me. I'm going to adjust that and then make it so that it fits, hopefully. I'm going to do that by using the sewing machine. I'm going to use my standard sewing machine just to do a stitch line to start with, and then after I've got that stitch line and I'm happy with the placement of that new seam, I'm then going to use my overlocker to sort of cut the edge off. So hopefully that'll be okay. I'll give you a twirl actually to show you what the back looks like. I'm really happy with the length of it. It's just a nice length onto my jeans, on the top of my jeans. It's just the neckline and the width of the sleeves and our body. So let's see how I go with that. So I've managed to find some yarn that's quite similar to this colour at the top. It's not the actual matching one, it's just a coral that I had in my stash, and it sort of matches with the sort of background colour of this top yarn, which is absolutely perfect. I've got my top inside out and I'm going to work all the way around on the inside. Now I have got a little video tutorial of I show how I normally sort of stabilise a neckline on a garment, and I say to use the crochet hook which sort of corresponds with the size of your the yarn that you're using, what it says on the ball band. But today I'm going to pick a 2.5mm crochet hook because I really want this to cinch in a little bit, so I've gone a little bit smaller this time, so you have to really play it by ear. So I'm just going to make a slip knot in the yarn, and I think that this is the back of my garment, so I'm going to start here, and I'm just slipping my crochet hook into the little V's that are in this I-cord around the neckline. I'll just zoom in a little bit so you can see, and I'm going to pull the long chain of that through those two loops and through the loop that I've got on that slip knot there. And that's just starting me off. I'm going to work all the way around the inside chain of the I-cord that's around the neck. This is the inside of the work, all the way around the inside, and see if I can tighten it up a little bit. It's really playing it by ear here really. I've just got to make sure that I've not cinched in this neckline too much, because I don't want it to be too tight so I can't get it over my head, but I would like it to be cinched in a little bit more. So I'm going to work all the way around doing a chain stitch, and I'm just going to check the width of my neck as I'm going along. So like I said, I do have a sort of more tutorial video on how to do the stabilising the neckline, and I'll leave a link to that in the description bar down below. I go into it in a little bit more detail. So you can see this is where I've started stabilising it, and I've worked all the way around here, and it is not stretchy at all now I've gone over that. And you can see how much this is stretched out, so I'm hoping that this will bring it in nicely. Right, so I've made it all the way around back to the beginning. Before I sort of sew the ends in, I just want to make sure that it's going to go over my head. So I'm going to pop a bulb pin in here, and then I can try it on. before I've actually secured these ends, so I can easily pull it out if it is a little bit too tight. I think if you've got quite a narrow neckline, you'd have to be really careful when you're doing the stabilise and stitch, because it might be too tight to then go over your head. Another option, which I haven't tried, is that you could potentially crochet in some thin elastic instead of using yarn, and then you'd end up with a bit more stretch, but it would pull it in slightly. So let's see if this fits. So that, I think, is quite a lot better. I'm not quite sure how much you can tell on camera that it is better, but I can feel that it feels a lot more stable, and that to me is a more comfortable neckline. I'm really pleased with that. It's only brought it in just a little bit, but it goes over my head nicely and feels a little bit more stable, so I'm a lot more pleased with that. So then once I take it off again, I can sew those ends in. What I am going to do as well is going to sew a label on the back, because this top is difficult to tell which is the front and back, so I'm going to sew a fabric label in, and I'm going to work out what I'm going to do with these sleeves, because they feel like they're massive. I'd like to sort of take it in so that it's relatively snug around my arm, and then take in 1 inch or 2 on each side of the body as well. So let's see how we get on. Once I've actually fitted it to fit me, I will put it on without the t-shirt on. It's just I feel like it's a bit, because it's quite gapey, I feel like I'm exposing myself. So once I get it to fit, I can actually wear it properly. So I'm just taking that bulb pin out, and I can thread the end of the yarn through the loop that I finished with, and then I just need to sew these 2 ends in. I'm using a tapestry needle. So what I am going to do is just sort of join it to the where I started to the beginning of stabilisation, and then work my way back through these V stitches until I get to a column of stitches here, and I can work my way down. I do try and duplicate stitch, but when you're in a place where it's a sort of a patterned area, it's easier to go down a column of knit stitches, like as if it's a rib, to sew the ends in. I think that should suffice, and I can do the other end. Right, so now that's stabilised, I can put my little label on. I'm just going to stitch down either side with a cotton thread. I think a cream thread will do. I doubt if you'll be able to see it very much. I think the middle is about there. It doesn't matter too much, it's only so that I can see where the back is, so that it's easier to put on. It drives me mad if I don't have a label or something in a garment. So I've got these type on my website, but there are loads of labels that you can get from haberdasheries. I knot the thread a couple of times and then start stitching the other end down. Just bury the thread into the stitches so that it's a little bit more secure. I'm going to do the other side as well. Right, there we are. That's much better. Looks a bit more professional now. So because I haven't got anybody to sort of help me pin myself in it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of guess where I need to take it in, and I'm going to tack along the side and then leave those ends so I can easily pull them out, and then try it on to see what it looks like. So I think I've got an idea of where I want to take it in. This is the cuff on the sleeve, and I'm going to take it in about here, I think, and then do about 1 inch from the side seam, so that takes about 2 inches from each side. So I'm going to tack along the side seams and give it a try on and see what it looks like. So I've got my tape measure. I can measure for 1 inch from the end. I've got some yarn. I'm basically using the yarn that I stabilised the neckline for, but it doesn't really matter what colour it is as long as you can pull it out afterwards. What I do to start with is just sew a bit of a an X so that it holds a little bit better than just leaving the end free, because it might start undoing when you've got it on. And I'll just do a simple little running stitch across the top just to hold it in place, but I find that's much easier to, so you can try it on. You don't have to worry about getting pins stuck in you. Obviously I've got an idea of where I want it to be taken into, but it's ideal if you've got somebody else to pin it in on you if you can, and you can see exactly where you want it to be taken in. But I can easily pull this out and do another line of stitches. You might be better off using more of a contrast yarn really, so that you can see where the stitches are, but that's what I've got for today. What I did is I just measured the sleeve so that I knew that it was plenty big enough where I'm going to be stitching it to. So I'm going to go about round there. Hopefully I can get that similar on both sides. Hopefully this will be, it will fit nice. So I'm just sewing back onto myself so that it'll hold at least for the time I need to just try it on. I'll leave a bit of an end so I can find where that end is, so I can undo it. And I'm going to do the same with the other side, and then I'll try it on. So I've just put these next to each other so I can see where I've been tacking is really similar to the other side, because I want it to be relatively symmetrical. Right, you can see that that's a lot better around the arms. I could even go in a little bit more, really, on both of those sides, especially when I've got this t-shirt underneath. But you can see how that fits me a lot better around here. I'll be a lot more comfortable in that. It's still got a little bit more positive ease than I would normally go for, but I think I'm going to go with that, because obviously when I've overlocked the other bits of fabric from the inside, then it'll look a little bit different, and I can always take a little bit more off. You can't put it back on. I'm going to stitch with the standard sewing machine, a zigzag stitch I think first, and then I can go over it with the overlocker, because I'm a bit scared that everything might fall apart if I go straight to the overlocker, so we shall see. So I've got my walking foot thing. It's called an IDT system on my sewing machine, but you can get a walking foot to do this, so you definitely need one of those if you're going to be stitching over yarn. What I would recommend is, if you're not like really used to using the sewing machine, you could always do like a hand stitching line all the way across and just do it really close together so that the stitches are nice and secure. But I just thought I'd have a go with the sewing machine. So I'm just going to be really careful that the edges are lined up, and a zigzag stitch just on the inside of where that tacking thread is. I'm using a 2.5mm wide zigzag stitch. I'm going to reduce my pressure foot tension because it'll just stitch a lot better if I do that. It won't drag the fabric as much. I'll probably do it at 3. So you can see the zigzag stitches. I have done it in a cream yarn. I should have probably done it in a beige really, but we shall see how it looks. It is on just on the inside, so hopefully that'll be okay. I'll do the other side and then get onto the overlocker. So there we are. I'm going to try it on before I do the overlock stitch, because obviously it's easier to unpick a zigzag than it is overlock when you cut the end off. So I'm going to give it a quick try on again and see if I can remove these tacking stitches first. It's wavy a bit, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to block this after I finish stitching it, to neaten up the edges a little bit, but it's better than not being able to wear it and having something that's actually wearable. So I've left the ends on the overlocker, and then I'm going to go back and sew those in so it's all nice and neat, but that's held together quite nicely, I think. It's got a zigzag stitch and the overlocker, so I think that should be absolutely fine. I'm gonna do the other side, and then I'll actually show you what it looks like on. So there we are finished. That's a lot better. That's a lot better fitted around the arms and the sort of bust area. I think it needs a little bit more of a block, to be quite honest, but it's wearable again. It is a little bit wibbly because when I overlocked it, it sort of stretched it out slightly. But I think with a bit of blocking that'll come out nicely, and I am so pleased that I'll be able to wear it and be a bit more comfortable, because I hate things being baggy up here. So normally I'll pick a size that has no ease, so that I've got it nice and tight around here, because it makes me feel like I'm more comfortable in a garment. But I don't mind it being a little bit baggier around here than normal. That's absolutely fine, as long as I've got it nice and snug at the top and I can wear it again. Love the Sorrel details around here. It's like a reverse stockinette, so you've got the pearl bumps on the outside, and I'm very tempted to knit another one of these, but this time make sure I pick the smaller size and make it so I'll actually really enjoy wearing it. Isn't that detail gorgeous? You could absolutely have sort of unravelled this and knitted it again, but life is too short to sort of undo things to do them all again. I wanted a quick fix this time, so hopefully that helps you guys and encourages you to get out those jumpers that might be a little bit on the big side and try and fix them so you can wear them. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I shall see you on next week's episode. Bye. One last whirl. So much better.